So when you think about science class safety, what's the first thing that pops into your head? I bet it's safety goggles, right? Maybe a lab coat? Well, that stuff's important for sure, but it is just the very, very tip of the iceberg. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden system that actually keeps a school science lab safe. And believe me, it goes way deeper than you think.
So let's just ask the question straight up. What really keeps a science classroom safe? It's not just a poster on the wall with a list of don'ts. It's a whole system, a comprehensive, legally required framework that's designed from the ground up to stop disasters before they can even start.
And here's the heart of it. This system has three main jobs. First, and most obviously, it's there to protect the health and safety of the students and the staff. Second, it's got to protect the environment. And that means everything from the air in the room to what goes down the drain. And third, it protects the school district itself from massive legal and financial trouble. You can kind of think of it like a shield with three layers of protection.
Okay, so our first section is more than just goggles. This is where we leave behind the simple classroom rules and start to get into the serious, professional, and legal stuff that's running the whole show behind the scenes.
And this is a really crucial point. The safety rules you see in a school lab, they weren't just made up by a teacher or a principal. They're actually based on laws, real laws that were designed for professional industrial settings. We're talking regulations from state agencies like the Department of Health or Labor and Industries. And get this, those legal requirements, they're just the bare minimum. The real goal is to aim much, much higher than that.
So that brings up a good question, right? How do these huge industry-level laws actually get put into practice in a regular high school chemistry class? Well, that brings us to the law in the lab. It all comes down to this one super important document, the Chemical Hygiene Plan, or CHP for short. The best way to think about this is like the Constitution for the science department. It is the official rule of law. It's the guide that every single science teacher has to read, has to understand, and has to formally agree to follow. This is not a suggestion. It's the absolute law of the lab. And I want to be clear, this isn't just some abstract idea. No, the CHP is a real, physical document. You're looking at one right here. It's the district's official playbook, laying out everything from how to store chemicals to what to do in an emergency. And everyone, from the newest teacher to the department head, is bound by it. So if the CHP is the playbook, then who's the quarterback? Well, that brings us to a teacher's legal duties. And this is where you start to see just how immense the responsibility placed on a single person really is. I mean, just look at this list for a second. The teacher is on the hook for their own safety, the safety of every single student, making sure they get signed safety contracts from all of them. They're also responsible for preventing fines, stopping damage to the building, and of course, following that chemical hygiene plan to the letter. It is a staggering amount of responsibility. And legally speaking, all of that boils down to three core duties that a teacher absolutely cannot fail at. These are the big ones when it comes to negligence. First is the duty of instruction. You have to show students the right way to do things safely. Second is the duty of supervision. You have to be watching them directly at all times. And third is the duty of maintenance, making sure all the gear, everything from the glassware to the eye wash station, is in good, safe working order. And in case you're wondering just how serious this all is, listen to this quote. The moment you become staff at the school is the moment you take responsibility for everything there, so take steps to remedy any issues. That is absolute. It means it doesn't matter if you didn't order that dangerous chemical or if it was sitting on a shelf for 10 years before you got there. The moment you're on staff, in the eyes of the law, it's your problem. You have to fix it. Wow. So handling that level of responsibility takes a lot more than just going through a checklist. It really requires a whole different way of thinking. And that brings us to our final section, the protective mindset. So what does this mindset actually look like in practice? Well, it's built on two main pillars. On one side, you have continuous learning. The idea here is that you can't ever assume you know it all. You know the old saying, you don't know what you don't know. So you have to always be learning. Then on the other side, you have a protective approach. This means you're not waiting for problems. You're actively looking for potential hazards and designing safety into your lessons from day one. Now, as heavy as a teacher's responsibility is, they aren't totally on an island. This quote from the National Science Teachers Association puts it really well. It says the duty to keep the environment safe should be shared by school leaders, district administrators, school boards, parents, and students. So it's not just on one person. Real safety is a culture, a shared responsibility across the entire school community. And that culture, that whole system, is really built by asking one simple but powerful question over and over again. You're not just asking what could go wrong, you're asking what are the worst things that can possibly happen in this room, and what is my exact plan for what to do if they happen? That forward thinking, that planning, that is the protective mindset, and that is the hidden system that really keeps everyone safe.